Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido and today it is the Levere Constrictors going up against the Cinnabar Blazers as we kick off round 3, and the Blazers, even though they had their bye last round, they were able to maintain their place in 3rd position, whereas the Levere Constrictors had a terrible round 2, not winning a single game in their best of 3 series, and that pushed them to the bottom of the leaderboard, and they look to rectify that here today. So with that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the Psychic decks? Will it be the Fire decks? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
And going first will be the Cinnabar Blazers with that Blazing Volcano deck, as they've got both Charmanders in hand plus the Magma from the Mythical Island set, so they've placed them all down with that Charmander in the active spot. It's the Flabebe going in the active spot for the Levere Constrictors with the Drowsy on the bench, as they also have that Hypno in hand as they're using their Magic Show deck. But again, the Blazers flipped heads, so they will be going first, and immediately they do pull the Moltres, which they could easily place down as yet another basic Pokemon, but it looks like they're just going to end their turn, sending it over to the Levere Constrictors, who do get that Sabrina. They're going to play the Pokeball they've got in hand immediately, getting their second Flabebe in hand. It only takes 1 energy to put the opposing Pokemon to sleep. It doesn't need to flip a coin, but that is a risk of going up against this Magic Show deck, their capability to put a Pokemon to sleep, because that Hypno, with a coin flip of that ability, it can also put the opposing Pokemon to sleep. And there it is, we see the Charmander asleep. They need to flip their heads, and they do. They're successful on that first turn, as the Blazers have that Charmeleon in hand as well, pulling their second Moltres from the deck, and finally they will be able to place an energy down. But I have to wonder, are they going to put it on that active Charmander? No, they put it on the benched Charmander, so it looks like they may be setting up for that Charmeleon on the bench. They can play it now, but they opt to just send it back, knowing that it takes 3 energy for that Charmeleon to start dealing damage, as the Constrictors get their second Drowsy, and they're going to evolve that bench Drowsy into the Hypno, starting to get some energy onto it as well. It also takes 3 energy to do damage, as the Flabebe with that Hypnotic Gaze once again putting the Charmander to sleep, and once again they're able to flip their heads, so the Cinnabar Blazers, their Charmander is awoken once again, as they do take out the potion. They are at full strength, so they don't need to play that. They get the second energy onto the Charmander, and they evolve it into a Charmeleon, as they also place down that one of those 2 Moltres on that final benched slot as well. No one has done any damage in this match yet, as the Constrictors pull out their X speed, and they can get that second energy onto the Hypno. They only need 1 more to be able to do some more damage to the Charmander. And here it is, once again being put to sleep for the 3rd time in this game 1, these best of 3 series, and this time they get the tails. So Charmander in that active spot will be left there, as the Genetic Apex Magma is pulled for the Cinnabar Blazers. They won't be able to do anything. They cannot retreat it even with that Leaf in hand. So they do put an energy onto that Magma, who requires 2, but it will discard them if it does that 80 damage. And trying to wake it up now, and they do get their heads, but it is pointless because it is going back to the Levere Constrictors, who immediately can put that Charmander back to sleep. Now the Constrictors have pulled one of their 2 Floettes as well, so they can finally evolve one of these 2 Flabebes, as they're going to play the X speed to get that retreat for free for the Flabebe. They're going to move it back to the bench, putting the Hypno in the active spot. They're going straight for that first point, as they do go for the Sleep Pendulum first. I'm not sure they really need to worry about this, although they may have been wondering whether or not to play that Sabrina as well if they wanted to drag out any of the benched Pokemon. But they get that 3rd energy now onto the Hypno. Sorry, it only does 50 damage. For some reason I was thinking it did 80. I am incorrect on that. It does do 50 damage there to the Charmander, who only has 10 health remaining. The Blazers will surely want to get that back if they want to prevent a point going over to the Constrictors, as they also draw that Professor's Research. They can thin out their deck if they're deciding that's what they want to do, putting that 3rd energy onto the Charmeleon, and they're going to play the Leaf supporter card, not opting to play the Professor's Research. They want to go on the offensive against this Hypno. And here it is, the Charmeleon in the active spot, 60 damage from those Fire Claws. Hypno has 100, so it has 40 remaining, and it can put that Charmeleon to sleep with the Sleep Pendulum. They do draw the Pokeball, which they are going to play immediately. The Constrictors getting that Jinx out of their deck and out of their hand immediately onto the bench, put in an energy. It requires 2, but it will do extra damage for every additional energy on the opposing Pokemon. As that Sleep Pendulum, it's a tail, so Charmeleon will not be put to sleep here. have to wonder, is Hypno going to go on the offensive? They are going to play that Sabrina. That is what I was wondering. Oh, actually, they don't. They're very back and forth on what they're deciding to do here against the Cinnabar Blazers, but they do play that Sabrina. The Blazers will have to put one of their benched Pokemon into the active spot. It's only Charmander who would be eliminated though, but they pick the Magma, who has 1 energy already on it. It only requires 1 more, so this Psy Punch is going to do 50 damage to the Magma, who has 80 health, but it will be able to do 80 damage to this Hypno as well, and immediately get an elimination, the first one in this best of 3 series. And the Blazers do take out their second Leaf, but they can play that Professor's Research, thin out that deck a little, get 2 cards as well. Although they're opting to play the Leaf, they still haven't played the Professor's Research, so they are going to retreat this Magma and get the Charmeleon back into the active spot. This will be able to finish off that Hypno as they start setting up the Moltres as well. That will require 3 energy, but it's a coin flip, that damage from the Moltres, as the Blazers get their first point on the board against the Labia Constrictor's Magic Show deck, who do opt to put that Jinx into the active spot, and this is going to surely take Charmeleon off the board with that additional damage. They get the X speed out of their deck. They're not worried about that though. This Psychic is going to do 90 damage. Charmeleon, the point has been returned, so it is a 1-all game in this game 1 best of 3 series. But that third game, even if the game is won in the first 2 matches, that third game will still count towards the leaderboard as the Magma is put into the active spot for the Cinnabar Blazers. They use their first potion. They've actually got that second one in hand as well, but first they are finally going to play that Professor's Research. They get the Charizard, they get the Blaine. The Blaine is fantastic paired with that Magma. It would be able to do an additional 30 damage as they play that Genetic Apex Magma onto the bench as well, and they use the second potion to restore more health for the Magma here. But with this Fire Blast, it will do 80 damage. It gets the Jinx off the field, but it also has to discard 2 of those fire energy from the Magma as the Blazers have taken the lead once again. The Constrictors put in the Floette now into the active spot, and they draw the Florges, so they are going to be able to evolve this Floette into the Florges, who will be able to take Magma out of this match. They also play the Drowsy onto the bench, but 2 energy required. It is going to do 80 damage with this Bloomshine. It doesn't need to worry about healing the 20 damage that this move will do. Magma has been taken out of this match, and it is all level once again here in game 1 as the Constrictors desperately looking to end that 4-game losing streak. They lost the series last time, and they lost round 1 as well, so they are on the bottom of the leaderboard. Moltres being put into the active spot. They're also going to use the Pokeball, are the Cinnabar Blazers. Again, it takes 3 energy from Moltres to be able to attack, but it can withstand that 80 damage from the Constrictors, who do get out another Jinx, and they don't get their Sabrina, as they've already used that earlier on Drowsy or Floette. They do put the energy onto Floette. It looks like they're not worrying about using Jinx. They're worried about Floor just doing enough damage to take out this Moltres. It can do 80 damage. Moltres will need a successful coin flip to eliminate Florges from this match. That Blaine cannot be used on the Moltres. This is the moment of truth. The coin flip, 130 damage if it's a heads. They're going all in, 50-50 chance, and it's a tails. The Blazers are not going to take this one. The Blazing Volcano deck is surely about to fall to the Labia Constrictors, all due to that tails that they did flip. A crucial moment. The Constrictors aren't worrying about the energy. They're paying that respect to the Blazers and just immediately getting that elimination to take game 1 in this best of 3 series. And they only led at the very end, but that is all that matters as we go into game 2 of this best of 3 set. The Blazers once again flipping the heads. They are going first, and they're going to be starting with their Rapid 9 deck, going up against the Sentinel Clones deck here. You have that Vulpix that they're playing into the active spot. They've also got the Growlithe that they do put into that benched position, whereas the Constrictors, they've got their Ralts that they can play. They've got a Curlier. Ralts is the only basic Pokemon they have in hand at the moment though. Now, are those 2 Rapidash, both the Genetic Apex and Mythical Island, in the Blazers' hand? But it is going to go over to the Labia Constrictors, who immediately are able to pull that Mewtwo. They're going to play their Pokeball as well, and they've got the Professor's Research and Giovanni in hand as they get their second Mewtwo. who pairs brilliantly with Gardevoir in this Sentinel Clones deck. As that Professor's Research gets the second Kirlia and gets the second Professor's Research, they are going to definitely play down one of those Mewtwo's onto the bench. Will they play the second one though? Again, it takes 4 energy for Mewtwo to be able to do damage, as they're thinking about where to place that energy, whether it's to be on Ralts and immediately start going on the offensive, or just try and start setting up Mewtwo, and they are starting to set Mewtwo up now. As they do end their turn, it is going to go back to the Cinnabar Blazers. They draw their potion, they don't need to use that at the moment, no damage has been done, but Vulpix with that Tail Whip, if they flip their heads, it won't be able to receive any damage from Ralts, but unfortunately it flips the tails. But the Constrictors at the moment seem like they're just worried about setting up Mewtwo at the moment, as they get their Golett as well from their deck. And it looks like they're thinking about playing that second Mewtwo. No, sorry, they're going to play the Professor's Research for a second time, and they get the Gardevoir. They've got their second Ralts as well, so they can start setting up so they can use that Psy Shadow ability to get those extra energy onto the active Pokemon that Gardevoir is able to produce. They are going to evolve that active Ralts into a Kirlia as well, just in case the Cinnabar Blazers pull that Ninetales. It will be able to take Kirlia out in one shot. Unfortunately, they are unable to pull the Ninetales. Instead, they get their second Vulpix, as they're going to start getting some energy onto the Growlithe. In case they pull the Arcanine, they need a Ponyta as well, and they are going to go for that Tail Flip again, but that Kirlia requires 2 energy to be able to do any damage. They still flip their heads anyway, just to be safe, but it will probably be getting evolved into a Gardevoir very, very soon, as the second Pokeball has been pulled for the Leviathan Constrictors. They immediately play that, and they get that second Golett out of their deck. And there is that third energy going on to Mewtwo. They do evolve that Kirlia into the Gardevoir, and they use the Psy Shadow. They're going to get that single energy onto it. Now, Gardevoir does require 2 energy to be evolved, but they could play that Psy Shadow next turn, retreat it, and then use their Energy Zone energy to allow Mewtwo to be able to attack, as they play that second Mewtwo onto the bench as well, potentially looking to set that up very soon. With those 2 Mewtwo set up, that'll be very dire for the Cinnabar Blazers, as they have finally pulled the Arcanine from their deck, immediately placing it onto the Growlithe to get that evolution. It requires 3 energy to be able to go into the offensive, and it will be getting recoil damage as well, but trying to prevent the Gardevoir from doing any damage. They do flip the tails, unfortunately this time for the Vulpix, but again, that Gardevoir does require 3 energy. It could actually take Vulpix out here and now if they decide to go on the offensive just with the Gardevoir using that Psy Shadow ability, or are they too focused here on just getting Mewtwo to go on the offensive? And that is the way it looks like they are going. They just want to use Mewtwo here. It is going to have to discard 2 of these energy that will get replaced on the next turn, undoubtedly. But there is that Power Blast, 120 damage, taking Vulpix out of this match, giving the Leviathan Constrictors their first point in this second game. But here comes Arcanine, who can withstand one of those Power Blasts from Mewtwo, the second Pokeball being played for the Cinnabar Blazers. They finally get a Ponyta. It is the mythical island set Ponyta, as you have to think they're about to start going on the offensive with this Arcanine here. Get that third energy. Here is the Heat Tackle. It will be doing 20 damage to itself, but gets that 100 damage on Mewtwo. Only has 20 health remaining. The Mythical Slab for the Leviathan Constrictors. They are immediately going to play that from their hand, and it is the Giovanni that would have been the next card in their deck. But here they are, setting that Mewtwo up once again. Here comes the Psy Shadow from the Gardevoir. They are going to get this 120 damage onto Arcanine to get their second point, but Mewtwo is a sitting Pokemon, sitting Psyduck, ready to be taken out. That point will immediately be returned by the Cinnabar Blazers, as the Leviathan Constrictors are still not yet in full control. And they get their second Ponyta, this time the Genetic Apex Ponyta, placing that onto the bench to go with these 2 Rapidaches, as they are immediately going to evolve the Mythical Island Ponyta into the Genetic Apex Rapidash. It only requires 1 energy, 40 damage. Mewtwo has been taken out. Both sides have 2 points on the board. The next point taken will win this game, and if the Levere Constrictors win this one, they will win the series, but that third game will still count towards the leaderboard, so teams need to maximize their damage and still play for all that they're worth. As the Constrictors put Mewtwo out into the active spot, they get their second mythical slab. They look to be playing that immediately, and this time they get the Golurk. So they've got the 2 Golurks and the 2 Golurks in hand, plus that Giovanni. They get their first energy onto the Mewtwo, plus the Psy Shadow, getting that additional, so they only need one more turn. Rapidash needs to do as much as it can because it will not be able to withstand an attack here from Mewtwo, as the Rising Lunge Rapidash with that Mythical Island could do 130 damage if that had the 2 energy, but it only has a single. And here is going to be 70 damage coming from this Rapidash. If anything, it looks like the Levere Constrictors are about to take game 2. 70 damage from the Rapidash onto Mewtwo. It has 50 health left, but it is about to get the additional energies here. First from the Energy Zone, then from the Psy Shadow Gardevoir. It is going to do 120 damage to give the Levere Constrictors the series. They're going to get the additional 10 damage for that leaderboard count. That could be crucial coming the end of regulation season, but they eliminate Rapidash from this match, and the Sentinel clones have taken game 2 and the Constrictors have taken the series. Now in game 3, these points and damage that gets scored will still count towards the leaderboard, so the Cinnabar Blazers still need to go out. As for the third time, they have flipped heads, but for the third time they do not want to lose, as they are going to be using their Baskin Sun deck, going up against the Twisted Spoon deck of the Levere Constrictors. The Cinnabar Blazers do place that Heatmore in the active spot with the Salazzle on, the Salandit on the bench. They've got the Salazzle in hand. It is the LGMs being put onto the active spot and bench, along with the Ghastly on the bench, and they've got the Behem and the Haunter in hand. Again, it is the Cinnabar Blazers going first in this game 2, and they get the Giovanni. They're not going to be able to place any energy down, being the team going first, so they are just going to send it over to the Levere Constrictors, who only need 1 energy to do damage with all 3 of the Pokemon they have in hand and on the bench, and they've just played the Mythical Slab to get the Gengar as well. The Constrictors have got a fantastic hand going into game 3 immediately with the Headbutt to get that 20 damage onto the Heatmore, who also only requires 1 energy to start going on the offensive as well. And the Blazers immediately put that Salazzle onto the bench on top of the Salandit. Heatmore, again, like we said, only requires 1 fire energy to do 30 damage here. It is going to halve the health of that active LGM, so it could be an easy target next, but they get their second Behem as well, so they're going to be able to evolve both LGMs and the Ghastly into that Haunter. Again, they all still require only a single energy, and Behem becomes more dangerous the more Pokemon that the Cinnabar Blazers have on their bench, with that Mind Jack doing 30 damage, does 10 plus an additional 20 for every Pokemon on the Blazers bench. They get the Larvesta, and you have to wonder, are they going to want to play that onto the bench? They know though that regardless, Heatmore is not safe in this match, so that Combustion would just do 30 damage, get a little bit of chip damage here onto the Behem, as they're willing to make that sacrifice here in game 3. And it is the second Gengar being pulled for the Levere Constrictors. Again, they only require 1 energy for all 3 Pokemon that they've got on the field at the moment, but that Mind Jack, they're not going to actually use it. They're going to retreat, put the other Behem in the active spot to do 50 damage. They don't want to take any points away from themselves in this game. They just want to score against the Cinnabar Blazers, taking that first one here in game 3, as it is the Salazzle being put into the active spot and the Volcarona being pulled from the deck for the Cinnabar Blazers. It takes 3 energy though to start doing damage, with that Volcanic Ash doing 80 damage to any benched Pokemon, as the Fire Claws from Salazzle will do 60 damage to Behem, who can only do 30 damage whilst the Blazers have 1 Pokemon on their bench, the Abra being pulled for the Levere Constrictors. And there is that energy being returned to the Behem that was used for the previous retreat, and they're doing it again. They're going to retreat the active Behem. Have to think though, are they going to put Gengar into the active spot, or they may cancel it and just continue to go on the offensive? No, they've decided to go with Gengar in the active spot. It will prevent the Blazers from being able to use any supporters, and they've got that Giovanni in hand, so it is now wasted. Salazzle only with 40 health remaining, while Vesta itself requires 2 energy to be able to start doing damage. Salazzle will only be able to get 60 onto this 130 health Gengar, so it does go on the offensive, but this is not looking good for the Cinnabar Blazers. The Constrictor's trying to take a clean sweep after being on the receiving end of one last round, as they continue to just set up these single energy Pokemon, and the Bobber from Gengar takes Salazzle out here in Game 3. This is terrible for the Cinnabar Blazers. They've had their bye, and it looks like they are about to have a 3-game loss in this series. They pull the Professor's Research. This may be too little too late though, as they can't play the supporter thanks to the Gengar. They get that second energy so they can go for a combustion onto Gengar. Only does 30 damage, and Volcarona won't be able to take Gengar out. But the Constrictors get their own Professor's Research. They're going to take out 2 cards. They get the second one, and they get a second Abra in hand here as well, as they place an energy just for the sake of it onto Gengar. Going with that Bobber, Larvesta is going to have only 30 health left. The Blazers can evolve it here. They can finally go on the offensive. They have taken the Salazzle out of their deck, but here it is. The Volcarona coming onto the field. It is going to go for that Volcanic Ash. It will be able to do 80 damage. And it could actually go for the Gengar. I do apologize, but they have opted to go for the Behem. That is a massive mistake, because Volcarona could have gone for Gengar. The Blazers have just thrown Game 3. What are they thinking? Volcarona is not restricted to going to only bench Pokemon. It could do 80 damage to any. They could have gone for the Gengar, but unfortunately they have practically just given up in this match, feeling like there was not much they could do. They could have gotten a second elimination for sure if they'd taken out the Gengar, because the Behams could not have done much. But here it is, 50 damage from the Gengar. It has given up 2 of its energy, the Volcarona. They have just pulled the Sabrina. It is just a matter of moments before the Constrictors take them out. But clearly the Blazers being flustered here, having lost both Game 1 and Game 2, and they are about to lose Game 3 because Gengar is about to take it out of this matchup. And again, not worrying about wasting the time, putting the energy on, they just go for the Bother and they get that 50 damage. And it is a clean sweep for the Levere Constrictors, as they are looking to get themselves off the bottom of the leaderboard. But this is a terrible loss for the Cinnabar Blazers, but fortunately they are able to maintain their place in our top 5, trying to hold on to a victory road spot. The Constrictors moving up to 6th, 1 spot out, but with that Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought the best card was, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, send thanks, and I'll see you when you see me.